What's up, A to Z Sports live on a Friday, and Jamal Adams is a Tennessee Titan. I signed off Thursday's show, Sam, by saying that you and I had a pretty good topic set for Friday, but we'll see what the news brings. Without any knowledge that just about an hour and a half after I said that, the Titans would sign free agent safety Jamal Adams. So, three-time Pro Bowler. He's been an all-pro in this league. He's battled some injuries. We all know a lot of his career path to this point, but we've known the Titans have been looking for a safety to go next to Amani Hooker in the back end of this defense for months now, and they ink up Jamal Adams, a one-year deal. Don't know the details as of yet, but on July 11th, they get a safety to start training camp here in just under 2 weeks. So we're going to dive into all this Jamal Adams conversation, right? His resume as a player. Him talking with the OTP about a couple different things yesterday right after his signing, one word to describe his signing, and a true or false question that we'll ask you guys later in the show before we wrap up our week with good news. I don't know about you, Sam, but I'm exhausted. It has been a long 5 days of a week after the 4th of July week that was a lot different, so I'm tired. I'm glad this is Friday, but Jamal Adams gives a little extra jolt into this show today. So, Sam, what's going on? Let's get this thing started here.
Hey, let's do it. Going to be a good show here this morning. Like you said, we got some news, and we just haven't had a ton of news to talk about on this show every morning, but got some good news today. So excited to jump into that, both figuratively with the Jamal Adams signing, and then some good news at the end of the show, very literally. So before we do it, make sure everybody watching shares the show out there. That's first and foremost. I know, hey, Jamal Adams, this has been a topic that has some people stirring a little bit, some controversy. So maybe you and your buddy disagree on the Jamal Adams signing. Well, send that link, get them in here so they can listen to our conversation and our debate, that you can both have your input. Share the show, group chats, Facebook, YouTube. Take the YouTube link and send it around. Find a way to share the show this morning and like the show. Those are going to help us out a ton. Get the name A to Z Sports out there so that we can continue growing this family before we kick it off on a Friday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter for A to Z Sports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go to make them a part of your new car buying process right there in Lebanon. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans by saving money and getting a better quote and a better coverage plan by using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. So Sam, Jamal Adams signed by the Tennessee Titans. I see King VC in early with his super chat with look, you got a typo in there, but that's okay. Lock in, like the show. The Titans signed a safety. Whether you like it or not, like the show here on Facebook and on YouTube. So that helps us out quite a bit. So Sam, take me through your initial reaction, because I had a missed phone call from you when Jamal Adams signs the Titans. I was on another call, and then obviously content plan go, right? So what was your initial reaction with the Jamal Adams news that happened Thursday late morning?
Yeah, I mean, kind of surprised at first. I think all of this moved very fast. We had, Teron Davenport on it with the first initial report from ESPN. A minute later, you've got an official team announcement, and then less than an hour later, Jamal Adams is sitting down with the Titans official podcast, the official Titans podcast. Sorry, it goes the other way. And he's talking with the team and talking with Mike Keith. And so this all kind of develops very quickly. That lets you know this has been in the works for a while. But it did surprise me. We've talked a lot about what the Titans were potentially going to do for a veteran safety. We knew this was a need. Jamal Adams wasn't the name that I had at the top of my mind, and not necessarily the style of player that I thought the Titans would target. but I don't necessarily think that means it can't work. There's a lot of details and nuances here about, some obvious negatives that come with Jamal Adams, but it's fascinating too, because this is a guy who is very connected to the Titans organization as they currently sit. We know that Denard Wilson was a position coach of his back in New York, and so there's familiarity there with the Titans defensive coordinator. But Austin, I was surprised to learn that Jamal Adams' father was a teammate of Ran Carthon's father back in their playing days in the 80s with the New York Giants. Furthermore, Jamal Adams' agent was Ran Carthon's agent when Ran Carthon was a player back in the early 2000s. And it's kind of this theme of the Titans offseason that we've seen continued here from coaches to players is just connection. Ran and Brian Callahan and Denard Wilson, they've enjoyed bringing in people that are connected to them in one way or another. And Jamal Adams fits the bill. So I'm intrigued. I was a little surprised. I didn't think we'd get it this close to training camp. But hey, I'm all here for it. It makes it more interesting right now to talk Titans. So
yeah,
thumbs up from me.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think going into the season with Elijah Molden as the fill-in starter next to Monty Hooker was a risk. Nothing against Elijah Molden, but he is not a safety by trade. Now, I see some people in the comments saying that Jamal Adams is not a safety by trade, but we'll have that conversation here in a little bit. Now, Sam, you went and pulled this video clip back from the NFL's top 100 in the summer of 2021. Is that correct? Is it going in the 21 or going in the 22?
This is right after the 2021 season. What was his first season with the Seahawks?
2020.
All right, so this is, summer of 2021, after his first season with the Seahawks. And Jamal Adams makes number 31 on the NFL top 100 players list. That was the best of any safety. He was ranked by his peers the number one safety in the league. And I love this video, one, because it's people talking nicely about Jamal Adams and all that he can bring to the table on the football field. But more importantly for me and for you, Austin, as people in media, as people who, wake up and talk about this team and analyze this team every morning, I loved seeing the personality and the energy and the fire that Jamal Adams brings on the field, and I'm sure will bring in the locker room. You can have your feelings one way or another about the player, but yeah, let's watch this video, and there's no debating that he's going to be fun to watch. He will at least be entertainment value up.
What I really like about Jamal Adams is a lot of guys just focus on the sack. With Jamal Adams, he goes for the ball.
When 33 out there, he the best defender on the field.
That's championship football, dog!
Did he add to your defense?
A lot of energy. I will say that from the day he walked into the building, he juiced us up.
Get that juicy swagger back, man!
He likes to talk. He's the high energy. I love playing against guys like that. That makes me want to go harder.
99, I want you to match that energy. Where you at? Match that energy.
He's not afraid to let you know that he's out there.
I'm a dog.
Jamal Adams is flying around right now. He's super aggressive.
Adams playing in his first playoff game.
I don't want to be too happy because I don't want people to say he hasn't been there before. You damn right I haven't been there before. So damn it feels good.
Hey, where my cigar at? I need my cigar now.
The Seahawks can celebrate.
We're champions.
NFC West champs.
Keep it playing at all times. God bless y'all.
I'm excited. I'm jacked up, man. Smoking a cigar at a press conference is an all-time move. But that's a little taste of Jamal Adams and what he potentially is bringing to the Titans sideline this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of juice, a lot of fun. And I think that's something that's very exciting overall. So, look, he's not without controversy because there's some things surrounding Jamal Adams, including an injury history, and we'll talk about that throughout here. But I did want to play this because the guy is a three-time Pro Bowler. He's made an All-Pro. He was traded in the 2020 season, the summer of 2020, right before the 2020 season, a blockbuster trade from the Jets to the Seahawks for multiple first-round picks. And then he has a year in 2020 where he has the NFL record for most sacks from a defensive back with 9.5. And Jamal Adams then has a good 2021, and then a big quad injury hits him in week 1 of 22. And now it's struggling, and here he is as a free agent deep into July and signs a 1-year deal. Don't know the money yet. But here's Jamal Adams talking with Mike Keith and Amy Wells on the OTP yesterday, right after his signing becomes official.
Is this just a bit of a reset for you at this
moment?
Yeah,
I think it's like a fresh start, you know? Obviously, just being at the top of the NFL for so long, and obviously injury happens, and then you go down and you hit rock bottom, and then, you know, you're just kind of climbing back up. So for me, it's a restart. Man, I wanted the perfect fit. The main thing for me was just about coaching scheme. Who are the coaches? How are they coaching? How are they going to get the best out of their players? Like, that's what it was for me. It wasn't really about money. It wasn't about anything like that. It was more so about Denard Wilson, Jack, Frank Bush, Rand, guys like that, the people in the building. That's what attracted me the most.
Why is the people part the most important part?
Relationships matter. They matter so much in this game of football, right? So for me, just over the years of keeping contact with these guys and talking football and seeing their journey of where they're going, coached here, or wherever, you know, head coaching jobs and DC jobs, DB jobs, just to see those guys, you know, flourishing and doing what they're doing. It's a special thing. And as a player, you know, all I can do is respect.
So that's Jamal Adams yesterday with the OTP. Sam, any quick thoughts on that before we get to our one-word question to get the chat here involved?
Yeah, I mean, I think it jumps out when he talks about defensive scheme, and it's all about the coaching, because I think for a lot of Titans fans right now, the scheme is a question, right? How they use Jamal Adams, how the Titans plan to use Jamal Adams is still kind of a question mark. But what we do know is that Denard Wilson has seen Jamal Adams at his best, and he knows how to use him to get the most out of him. That is pretty clear from his years in New York. So does he still have that caliber of play in him? You know, that's a different question and a different conversation, but I think it stands out when you hear a guy like Jamal Adams say, I wanted to go where the coaching scheme and the best fit for me was. Not surprising to me that he feels like he can fit really well in Denard Wilson's defense. I would agree. I mean, what we know about Denard Wilson's defense is that they want to be fast and physical and downhill and impact the line of scrimmage. He wants his linebackers and at times his safeties, at times his cornerbacks, blitzing, getting after the QB, making a quarterback get the ball out of his hands quickly, and bringing the fight to the offense. One of my favorite quotes where he quoted General George Patton in his opening press conference and said, you know, you never win anything on defense playing defensive. Like, you have to like go attack as a defense in order to play at your best. And so we saw this kind of with the Kenneth Murray signing. It's a guy who is not great in coverage. You know, he can even struggle to read run schemes and run zones sometimes. But we know that he's impactful at the line of scrimmage, can take on blocks, can run through blocks, and can make tackles if he gets to a player. And so Jamal Adams has a similar skill set, that he is a special player when it comes to blitzing off the edge as a safety. He has that single season record for defensive backs with 9.5 sacks in a season. He has a very unique ability to bend coming off the edge and get around, tackles. And so that is intriguing to me when you put him in Denard Wilson's defense. And so I find it interesting that Denard Wilson's defense is intriguing to Jamal Adams.
Yeah, Nick Ewing quotes the great coach Bill Yost. We blitz all night. So you move forward with that. And Sam, let's go ahead and get the chat here more involved and ask, what is one word to describe the Titans signing safety Jamal Adams? One word to describe the Titans signing free agent safety Jamal Adams. We'll get to all of your comments here in a second. But first, got to tell all the folks about our friends at Holiday World and Splash and Safari. The summer is here. It is hot. And so what you need to do is get away from the heat a little bit and go take a quick 2-hour drive north of Nashville to Holiday World and Splash and Safari in Santa Claus, Indiana. an award-winning theme park, an award-winning water park. The first launched water coaster in the world is at Splash and Safari. So escape the heat of Nashville summers. Take the whole family up there where Holiday World and Splash and Safari has the best deals, free sunscreen, free soft drinks, and free parking. Get the great and the best value right there at holidayworld.com for your tickets. Once again, holidayworld.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If your first bet misses, whatever that first wager amount is in your account, you get that money back into your account in the form of a bonus bet. If your first bet misses, that's 2 chances to win big. You just have to sign up and use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. So a little bit before the MLB All-Star break, got a couple of good games going throughout this weekend. Maybe go get some action on BetMGM, betmgm.com. I'll be taking the over today for Garrett Crochet strikeouts with my Chicago White Sox against the Pirates. Best pitcher in the American League, Garrett Crochet, over in strikeouts. I don't care what the number is on BetMGM. I'm taking the over. Hey, that's the Garrett Crochet experience. Welcome to Garrett Crochet. Do it with BetMGM. Bonus code ATOZ Sports.
All right, so Sam, I will send you to the chat. We were asking everybody what's one word to describe the Titans signing free agent safety Jamal Adams. A lot of comments flying in here. So, Sam, I'll let you start with them.
Yep. Leslie says solid. We've got safe from Hill. We've got depth from Assad. Dog from Eddie. I think Jamal Adams would agree with that. What was the quote? I'm a dog. I'm a dog. I'm a dog. I'm a dog. Would probably agree.
He's a dog times 4. Yes.
Yeah. Clayton says terrible. Kaz says swagger. We got another dog from Denise. Hybrid from Nick. Depth from IR Hoshi. Wilson. We've got risky. We've got another dog. I'm loving all the dogs coming in the chat. We've got box. We've got leader. We've got hopeful. We've got interesting. Van's also on interesting. Fit. Mixed. Linebacker. Familiarity. Veteran. Needed. Useful. Whatever, cheap, gamble, blitzing, depleted, risk. Joshua says desperate, retire. Wow, harsh from Nav. Bully, says Faye. We got next from MB, desperate from Bryce, savage from Devin. A lot of different attitude. I like that word attitude. He definitely has some good attitude. So what do we got, Austin? What is your one word?
You want me to go first?
Hey, you go first. I go first. I don't care. I'm ready to go.
Okay. All right. I'll let you go first because I'm curious because you did a lot of research on this yesterday. I'm curious to see where you take it. One word to describe the Titans signing Jamal Adams.
Look, my one word here is going to be upside. Upside. I'm not really worried about the negatives surrounding Jamal Adams. Like, I'm not. It's a 1-year contract, and it's a 1-year contract for not much money. Not much money. Minimal against the cap, as our Buck Rising reported yesterday. So this is not going to be financially consequential for the Titans in any way. This is not going to prohibit them from making another move in the secondary should they feel like they need to. So I'm all about the Jamal Adams upside and paying attention to the player that he once was and could be again under Denard Wilson. With the familiarity that you have with him as a person and a player, with the fit that I think he's going to be in this locker room, like if you've stepped in the Titans locker room, you know that this defense with Arden Key and Jeffrey Simmons is all about that same energy Jamal Adams is bringing in that video that we played. And so I think his energy is going to be welcome and be a really cool thing to see mesh with some of these other guys. I think it's all upside and pretty risk-free. And if you're a Titans fan right now, that's a good thing to celebrate. Is it the perfect free safety, coverage safety that you maybe envisioned in your dreams? No, not at all. But that doesn't mean Jamal Adams cannot still be a very impactful player in this league and have a good role in the Titans. And I don't think this defense is as cut and dry as free safety, strong safety, go back there and cover. Yeah. Right. I think we're going to see different combinations and, coverage schemes, and you're going to see Jamal Adams used in some unique ways. So upside, upside, upside. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If he's hurt in training camp, maybe he just gets cut in training camp and it's no sweat off the Titans' back.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
Rossi Assa, isn't Adams a strong safety? Or am I wrong about that? I mean, he is a box safety. He is
he might be a dime linebacker. He
but
might be a dime linebacker.
if you're talking traditional like video game positions, right? Free safety, strong safety. Adams is a strong safety, yes. And I think what this tells us about Amani Hooker, before we go any deeper, is that the Titans see Amani Hooker as a free safety, and he can't do that.
I would totally agree with that. Totally
yes,
agree with
right?
that. Like,
so, because what has Amani Hooker been throughout his career? Next to Kevin Byard, he was the box safety, and you let KB play center field.
But now, I think we saw last year, we saw a little bit late in the season last year, Amani Hooker with the ability to go and be that free safety a little bit when he didn't have Kevin Byard. And so, yeah, I think this tells you how they potentially view Amani Hooker's role shifting. And now you're looking at Elijah Molden / Jamal Adams as like, we know Elijah Molden kind of profiles better as that nickel corner, and he can come down and cover your tight end and do whatever you need to do by coming down on the ball. Well, now Jamal Adams can come down and blitz and kind of work as your dime linebacker / box safety. And Amani Hooker's freed up to go and just be the ball hawk. And I think that is a very realistic possible shift. So it's not necessarily the Titans signed a strong safety to play alongside a strong safety in Amani Hooker. These roles are a little bit more fluid than we might want to believe.
Yeah, I feel like I might be having some internet problems. I think I'm okay now. But so I do, yeah, I'm with you. I think that Jamal Adams will play down low where Amani Hooker will play more center field more often than not. And I think Jaron brought up the rover / jack position. That with the funny thing is when Amani Hooker came into the league, you had Kevin Byard and Kenny Vaccaro as the two main safeties, and Amani Hooker was that third safety playing down in the box, and previous to that was Dane Cruikshank. And so as that continued to develop. So my one word for this signing is, you used the word upside. I saw John earlier say strategic. My one word was going to be calculated. This is a very calculated move by the Tennessee Titans. And I think it's interesting because the relationships that he has, it's the attitude fit on the football field that he has, the familiarity with Denard Wilson in the past, and also the low risk upside reward for what the Titans have right now. And so calculated makes me think that they've also, the fact that Jamal Adams was in the building and ready to sit down with Mike Keith and Amy Wells right after they announced it tells me that this has been something they've been working on for quite a bit, like you said earlier in the show. And so that's also goes to the calculated. Rashid says, how you steal my word, Austin? I don't know. I didn't see it. And I didn't remember Sam reading off the word calculated, but this feels like I saw people yesterday, and this is where like the polarizing reaction comes in to this. I saw people say this is the most John Robinson signing that Rand Carthon has ever made. And I see why they're connecting those dots, because John Robinson signed players that he knew from his past. John Robinson signed players where he had agent connections with. John Robinson signed the New England way type guys. John Robinson signed veteran players who were coming off of injuries at bargain prices, right? So that all of that is what Jamal Adams is. Brian Cal, if you believe in Rand and if you truly believe in Denard Wilson, then I think you're going to say Denard Wilson knows what he wants. Jamal Adams knows Denard Wilson. This is going to work.
Yeah, like I think it has all the possibilities to work here. Is Austin definitely having some internet issues here. You keep going in and out, but never. Yeah,
I made a great point. I made a great point, and none of you heard it.
Run it. We kind of heard some of it. Run it back real quick for the people, just so we make sure we get it. Because hey,
it was off the top of the head, and so like it wasn't prepared.
You trust Denard Wilson. You trust Rand. He knows what he needs. Jamal Adams knows Denard Wilson. Yeah. No, and I think, the reasons why this wouldn't work to me are things that are outside of the Titans and even outside of Jamal Adams' control. It's things like his injury issues, right? And if he's not on the field, it doesn't work. But, if you have this idea that you've got this veteran presence, and if he's available, you know how to use him to maximize his ability. I also think, just in general, especially now in today's NFL more than ever, the concepts and coverages that defenses or even offenses run are not as black and white as they used to be, right? Like you don't just have two safeties and these are your two starting safeties. Like the best defenses and good defenses have all these different packages and rotations that you use players in, and then you see them switching it up. So you might have three safeties that play significant snaps all the time. You might have four inside linebackers that play. I think he's a guy who can play in the box, rush the quarterback. He can cover the seam and kind of be like a dime linebacker on passing downs. You don't have to use him all the time, but it allows Elijah Molden to play in very specific packages. So this is all kind of part of the calculated plan that I think you brought up, where the Titans see a specific role for how Jamal Adams can make their defense better. And I'm not really one to question that, because right now I really believe in the Titans' defensive sort of ideology, kind of the culture that they're starting to build within their defense. And I think the support that this has already gotten from some of the players on the Titans is cool to see too. Jeffrey Simmons was in the trenches fighting for Jamal Adams. That's good energy. That's what I want out of these people.
Yeah, for sure. And I also heard on the OTP that another guy that Jamal Adams knows well is Arden Key, right? That you bring in two big LSU personalities the last 2 years with Arden Key and Jamal Adams.
Look, the middle of the field, covering the middle of the field on paper is a problem, right? Because Jack Gibbons, as good as I think Jack Gibbons has the ability to be this year and as improved as he is, I think he has some athletic limitations that make him not the best in coverage running with wide receivers and tight ends. Kenneth Murray, we know that's not really a strength of his. Now you get potentially another dime linebacker or box safety who is not great at covering wide receivers and tight ends unless it's very particularly like in the seam in Jamal Adams. You've got a lot of weaknesses over the middle. So I get why there's some pause from Titans fans, but I think the way that Denard Wilson intends to play defense will allow that to not necessarily be a back-breaking weakness, right? You've got Roger McCreary, you've got L'Jarius Sneed, Chidobe Awuzie, you've got the secondary kind of built right now. A guy in Amani Hooker, who I agree with the chat, by the way. Chat made a couple of good points. I think Amani Hooker is better as a playmaker that's kind of roaming the field a little bit and hunting for the ball, hunting for those turnovers. I think that will be a fun role to watch him in this year. So I get the concern on paper, but I think the Titans have some plans for how to supplement that, and we'll see that, early on in the season.
Real quick, this is funny because I see Phil coming in and says, too many old guys on this team, which
you can make that argument.
Well, Sam, I'll ask you, what do you consider old in the NFL?
I mean, like, for most positions, anything over like 28 is like old in the NFL. So
you'll say 29 and older. Do you want to, is that fair? Like,
yeah, I mean,
if you're 29 now, then you're likely to be 30 at some point in the.
I would say like 28 is like
28,
29. Dude, 28, you're going into year 7. Like, not a lot of guys play into year 7.
Yeah, but we're talking about old guys. Like, and for a lot of like human beings, like 28 as a male.
Football years is there. I mean, we were talking about, everybody's talking about how old Derrick Henry is, and he was like just turning 30. Like, I mean, football years are different. We know this.
Yeah, for sure. But like old guys, like you're not calling a 28-year-old an old guy in the NFL. You're not.
That's true.
That is a prime.
I mean,
you're
all
in
right,
the meat.
Let's go 30 then. I think once you're 30, you're old.
30? Okay. How many Titans players on the roster are currently 30 years old?
Oh, man. 3?
5.
Okay.
2 of them are your kicker and your long snapper.
Yeah,
so who gives it?
Right? I forgot. Is it Brunskill, Hopkins, Ridley, and then
Ridley,
Morgan Cox and Nick Folk?
You got 4 out of 5. Nick Vanette, who is the veteran tight end, is 31. So
What
you got
was
5
Ridley
guys.
29, getting ready to turn 30?
There are 5 players who are 29 who will, and I'm not sure about all their birthdays, but I do know Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd will be 30 this season. The other 29-year-olds are Chidobe Awuzie, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Mason Rudolph. You could argue that 29 years old is the perfect age for the backup quarterback, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah. 29 in the quarterback years is like 21 in running back years.
Yeah.
Like,
So I think no, this team doesn't have too many old players. What the hell are you talking about, Phil?
I think the problem, I don't necessarily disagree with Phil here. Like
I do.
It's not in number. It's not in number. I think really what Phil's talking about here, which is true, is that so many of the players the Titans are relying on to be part of their core are veterans that are in their second and third contracts.
Oh my God. The Titans are relying upon experienced players for a team that sucked ass last year.
No, fair. Hey,
new players.
It's a necessary evil. Like it is absolutely necessary for them to turn this roster around. But like, I'm sure you'd much rather be looking at this type of Titans roster and know that this is like a very young, controllable core. Now, they've been making efforts to kind of get younger, get cheaper, kind of get everybody on the same timeline, and that does not happen overnight. But a lot of their talent, where they're improved, are guys who are 29 or 30 or about to turn 30. Like, they're these veteran talents.
I would not call them old. I would call them proven.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them. I think all of them are proven. I'll just list again the 29 and 30-year-old plus players on the Titans are 10 total. Okay. I got to reset my sorting here on the Titans website. So Nick Folk, 39, proven. Morgan Cox, 38, proven. DeAndre Hopkins, 32, Hall of Famer. Nick Vanette is, a fringe roster guy. Maybe he makes a team, maybe he doesn't. Daniel Brunskill, 30 years old. Okay, maybe not quite proven, but he's a quality. I think everybody understands that if Daniel Brunskill is your 6th or 7th offensive lineman, you're way better than you have been the last couple of years. Mason Rudolph, good quality backup. Calvin Ridley, proven. Tyler Boyd, proven. Chido Awuzie, proven. The other question mark is Sebastian Joseph Day, who has been a captain. I think he's a proven professional. Maybe he's not a high-end player, but he wasn't signed or paid to be like that. So I think they're all proven and professional in their role that they were assigned to be.
I just think a lot of people can look at the Titans right now and know that they're relying on, I tweeted it out the other day, Austin. I listed 10 guys that they've added just in free agency. I'm counting L'Jarius Sneed as a free agent acquisition. It was a trade plus a signing.
Sure.
But they've added 10 guys in free agency that are very likely to start this year. 10. That's half the team. You got 22 starters. 10 of them were acquired in free agency. Not generally the recipe for success in the NFL. Not saying it can't be. I think and we've had this conversation as recently as last week, that I think it was a very necessary evil for the Titans to go and spend this way for a lot of different reasons and establish a core. But when you look at aged veteran players who are going into years 7 and 8 of their career as the guys you are relying on to be half the starters on your team, there can be cause for concern there. But you would much rather have young, controllable things. And the fact of the matter is that is the plan for the Titans long term, is to bring in some of these veterans to supplement this roster, to be a more competitive roster, to help out some of your younger players, make their jobs easier. And while you're doing that, and while you're more competitive, you're building through the draft and through other ways.
There's the key aspect. There are 2 key aspects in that, because it's usually not advantageous to sign half of your starters in free agency in 1 year, right? But the caveat to that is that you were terrible last year, objectively bad in most areas of football. And 2, your quarterback is making $9 million over a total of 4 years. So you want to take advantage of both those opportunity of, you're not good. You got a cheap quarterback. So go get proven professionals that have been doing it before and then build around that young quarterback.
Right.
We've had that conversation so many times this offseason.
No, and this is a great point by Bork here, because I think that this is really the meat and potatoes of the Titans' strategy and of this conversation is there's a young quarterback and a young offensive line, and the Titans, I think, are trying to build like young and sustainable position groups at the key position groups, which right now are like quarterback, offensive line, secondary. And they've used some draft picks on Roger McCreary and on, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. And they've gotten two guys who are on the right side of 30 to long-term deals in Awuzie and Snead, where they feel like they've got those groups locked down. Now, they've spent probably money on what is not sustainable on certain positions, just to make them more competitive in the immediate future. But the hope is that they improve your roster enough so that the other groups get better. And you can always find a young safety. You can always find, hopefully maybe you get a first round pick and then you draft a young wide receiver and you get younger in those areas. But that is ultimately what they're trying to do. Sure. I don't have a problem with it. My case is just, I understand why some people could look outside looking in and say half your team is veteran free agents that you acquired this year. You're relying on a lot of older talent.
Yeah. All right. So back to the Jamal Adams conversation, because Billy says older player coming back from a serious injury slowed the expectations. And Roger adds Adams' days of a safety are behind him. Think he's going to be some blitz packages and gimmick defenses. From the talk, the Titans got him really cheap. So let's talk about the injury concerns. Jamal Adams did open up about that on the official Titans podcast. And I've got that clip here coming up about his injuries. Yeah. And he's not the only Titan safety that's dealt with injuries too.
We might have to have a quick conversation because Andre had a super chat about.
We'll get to it. We'll get to Andre.
I'm just making sure we don't miss it. So
I'm not going to miss it. Super chat rules, or you read the super chat. So we'll get to Jamal Adams' injury concerns. But first, if you have an injury in life, you have to know you go to the Bone and Joint Institute. That's what I've done over the last couple of months. Had some knee pain that came up during the winter and spring. Got it checked out. Patella tendonitis in my left knee where I tore my ACL about 15 years ago. It was bound to happen. Here we are at 34. Now I'm the old man with knee tendonitis at 34 years old from that previous injury, but the Bone and Joint Institute got me back to where now I can do a lot more of my regular exercising like I want to. And they've also educated me on how to have a maintenance plan for this knee tendonitis that might pop up and flare up from here on out. So I've got options. I've got alternatives. I've got a lot of different things, and I've learned over doing some physical therapy through the Bone and Joint Institute. So it's not just about having to go back and do physical therapy. It's taking physical therapy and using that moving forward at home or wherever I may be to make sure I keep that knee in check. And they can do all the same things for you. If you have an injury in life, check them out and book an appointment online. Don't let it linger. Book an appointment at boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sports books. Major League Baseball in full swing here. Like I said, I'm taking Garrett Crochet's over tonight. Maybe you want to take a strikeout bet, maybe a home run player prop, maybe no runs first inning. There's a lot of stuff to do here before the All-Star break. You can also bet on the home run derby, which is a lot of fun. So get on BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports to sign up with BetMGM and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If your first bet misses, that's the best way to do sports betting with the king of sportsbooks and BetMGM.com.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. It's the only new customer offer. All promotions, starter qualification, eligible requirements. First online room money wager. Only rewards issued in eligible bonus bets that expire in 7 days. And for problem game with support call, Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Okay, let's play this clip. This is, I think it's interesting. Jamal Adams and his injury situation. Mike Keith gives a quick recap over what happened. And, this is something I learned. I think it was easy to poke fun at Jamal Adams. Like, oh, the guy can't stay healthy. But it sounds like this injury was a very much a career-changing experience for new Titan safety Jamal Adams.
You have this incredible season with the Seahawks, 9.5 sacks,
yes, sir.
Most ever for a safety. Come back and play well again the next year.
Yes, sir.
First game of 2022, you tear your quad to the point that you're in a cast for 20 weeks?
20 weeks. You could put it like that, if not a little bit more. That was a time, again, man, it just it brought me down as far as just very humbly, man. That's not, forget the game of football, that's life situations, right? Not being able to walk, not being able to be, to use the restroom by myself or to shower by myself or whatever the case may be. That was always, tough for me, getting out the bed and things like that. Missing a year of football definitely took a toll on me, right? And I obviously knew I was going to get back out there. It just was going to take a lot of hard work, and mentally I had to heal. I'm in a way better place now. I'm just excited for the opportunity. I'm excited for the journey, and it's just part of the story.
So that's something, Sam, I did not realize that Jamal Adams, with that quad injury, was in a cast for 20 plus weeks, and he said earlier or later on in that interview with Mike Keith and Amy Wells that he was like, I'm just glad to be sitting with you guys. Like, there was a time where I couldn't sit in a chair, and it's like that's just something that takes you, and like the fact that he was able to get in and play 9 games last year after not being able to walk for 6 months, that is interesting, and it's something that obviously you hear that and you can imagine how that would alter somebody's career in life with that significant of an injury. But then you have to say, okay, then I know you've been now over a year returned from that injury, but what's its lasting effect? And I think I think this is a love of the show. Cincinnati Titan says, we're going to get a Jamal Adams doc talk. We just might have to after that with the Bone and Joint Institute to figure that out. Because what are the lasting impacts of tearing your quad? Is it something where after it heals and you're good? Or is it something that's continuing to bother an athlete years down the road? Because the stats are the stats. His last full season where he didn't miss a game was 2018. That's a rare thing in the NFL to play every game for the most part, right? I don't think it's fair to hold athletes to that standard. But he hasn't played more than 9 games in a season since what, 2020 or 21?
Yeah, I mean, it was 2021 before he last played 14 games, something like that.
Even in 2020, when he had 9.5 sacks, I believe he missed 4 games.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, he made a point of letting that be known that he's like, I missed 4 sacks and I missed a bunch of games. And I still broke the record. So
crazy though. I mean, that's 9.5 sacks in a season.
Crazy.
Is so many.
For a defensive back, is
if
crazy.
Arden Key had 9.5 sacks this season,
we'd be bums. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think one of the big things here is the injury history. And it's not like he's walking into the most reliable company, the most reliable position group. And you look at the games played by the Titans safeties, and it is alarming. Games missed by Titans safeties over the last 3 seasons. Amani Hooker's missed 17. Elijah Molden's missed 18. Jamal Adams has missed 29. Justin Graver, Titans film room, with a really good point here that this is not just a Jamal Adams problem. This is a Titans safeties problem. And that cannot be ignored in all of this. As optimistic as I am trying to be about this move, as good as I think it could be for the Titans, it leaves you wondering, hey, are we going to be sitting here in week 5 with 2 of the 3 safeties banged up and not able to be on the field? Because then you've got the problem you were trying to avoid.
Yeah, and so let's just do math, right? Sam, what is 17 times 3?
51.
Right. Let's look at that graphic again. Amani Hooker has missed a full season of games over the last 3 years, right? That is 2/3 of the games that he's been available for, and he's the least missed. Elijah Molden, I'm actually surprised that it's that close between Hooker and Molden, because
I would have thought Molden was more.
Right now,
just
Amani
Hooker,
Amani Hooker has concussion issues, right? And all that takes is something that Amani Hooker can't control. A hit going the wrong way, and because of his previous time in the concussion protocol, he's probably back in the protocol for a little bit longer the next time. And that's not his fault. It's not his control. You can't really train or prepare to guard against concussions unless you want to wear the toad mushroom head for Mario Kart. And so, and we don't even know if that's going to work to this point. So maybe that's something Amani Hooker should do if he gets another one. But so it's an issue with Jamal Adams because he missed 16 of Jamal Adams' 28 or 29 that he's missed is the quad injury.
But that's not the only injury.
No, it's not, because but that's a big chunk of it
Sure.
over the last 3 years. But a lot of injuries have happened in those three guys who they're relying on to play a lot of snaps.
Yeah, and so then I think this is a good point by Kenneth here, and this kind of gets into our next question real quick, Austin, is he says they need another safety with all those injury concerns. And if you're looking at the top three safeties on the Titans depth chart right now, you might be feeling good saying these guys are very talented if they're all on the field. But if you look at the depth behind them, that is still a problem. Now, I will say, I don't believe safety is the most important position on a defense. I think you can have a really, really good defense while having kind of a hole at safety. There are ways to, offset that issue. And if you have to play whoever back there for a game, you have to play whoever back there for a game. I think he can find relatively talented safeties on the street if you need one to suit up for you and play one football game. So I don't know. I think there are ways around that. But if you just look at the Titans depth chart right now, there's basically no experience behind the current group. There's Matthew Jackson. There's Mike Brown. There's a bunch of dudes that have never played NFL snaps on defense. And so if you have Adams, Molden, Hooker, all dealing with injury issues, now what do you do?
Yeah. So Maven says if Jamal Adams plays 10 games, was it worth it?
Yeah.
That's 10 out of 17.
It's a 1-year deal. Yes.
Right.
So 3 games, it's worth it.
3? No. No. Time out. No. If he plays 3 games, it's not worth it.
Anything Jamal Adams gives you.
No.
Great.
No. I get what you're saying because of the contract, but I fundamentally disagree. It's because of the decision to sign Jamal Adams over the decision to sign a safety that would have given you more than 3 games.
They haven't not signed a safety yet.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's play a true or false game. True or false, Jamal Adams completes the Titans defensive secondary. True or false, Jamal Adams completes the Titans secondary. True or false, your answers here in a second. But first, Farm Bureau health plans. Here's a truth. They can help you save money and get better coverage with your health plan across the board. Full health coverage, dental and vision. Farm Bureau health plans can do it all. They have been doing it all for almost 78 years in Tennessee. So make sure you turn to them. Had an employee of A to Z Sports say, hey, it's that time. Got to get my own health coverage. Got to get off mom and dad's. So what they do, they go to Farm Bureau health plans. If you follow our link at fbhp.com/ATOZ, hey, I'll even give you, skip a step. If you are somebody that wants to have better coverage with Farm Bureau health plans, if you live in the state of Tennessee and you want better coverage, DM me on Twitter and I'll give you the direct email to Farm Bureau health plans to get you started. So DM me on Twitter if that's what you want to do. You can also check them out, fbhp.com/ATOZ, to save money and get better coverage with Farm Bureau health plans. Once again, DM me on Twitter if you want it, or fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. I mentioned no runs first inning earlier. We all love no runs first inning. Here's my play for you guys today. No runs first inning. Guardians, Rays in Tampa. Carlos Carrasco against Taj Bradley. Bradley has been hot recently. And Cookie Carrasco, good analytical data, pitching in a pitcher's park in Tampa Bay. I'm loving no runs first inning here. Tampa has a very weak top of their lineup. So, hey, no runs first inning. Guardians, Rays. That's my play today. I'll be on it. You get on it. Do it with BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. If you do it with that code, you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So maybe if this is your first bet and I'm wrong, oh well, you can still get a second chance to win big. Sorry. There we go. BetMGM.
While you read the answers for our true and false question,
sure.
True or false, Jamal Adams completes the Titans secondaries. I'll let you read the comments. I did put up a poll on YouTube, and while you do that, I'm going to make that bet for no run first inning here on BetMGM. So, Sam, what are the people saying, true or false here?
True or false here? Jay is saying false. Patricia, Lee, Demetrius, Justin, MB, Ken, Jason, Rashid, Caps, everybody saying false in the chat. Van, and our first true comes from Eric Castillo, says true. Darren's false. Pistol Ramsey is false. Frankie, false. Keaton, Maven says true. Richie is false. We got false from Jason. Highly false. Need one more signing, says Jay. False from Rooney and Mitch and Daniel and Paul and Devin and Joshua. Caleb says true. Darius says slightly false. John says false. Ray School says false. Everybody is on false here, Austin. Everybody. We got Chef Ran. Of course, Chef Ran says it's true because it's his move that he just cooked up here. But true or false? Does this complete the Titans secondary?
False. I think it's pretty clear. No, it doesn't. It makes them better, but it doesn't complete them. I think somebody like Justin Simmons would have been a true answer on this question because I see the picture of Amani Hooker and Justin Simmons being a complete safety duo to go along with the trio of corners that I really like. And so it's more complete than it was before the signing yesterday, but it is a not complete secondary at this point. Now, I guess, do you feel the same way? I have a follow-up question, but I'll let you answer first.
You could probably convince me of true. Right now, I would have to say false. In order to say true, I would need to hear from Denard Wilson. I want a clear picture painted of what Jamal Adams' role is going to be and what Amani Hooker's role is going to be and how he kind of sees this wheel turning. And if Denard Wilson says that, hey, Amani's going to move over to free safety, we want him to be that playmaker, and now you've got two options that are interchangeable at strong safety that can come down, play box safety, dime linebacker, do all of these different things, and that's kind of the style of defense the Titans want to play, then true. I think you have what you need to run that style of defense and that this is a solid group. But until I've heard those words out of Denard Wilson's mouth and I have a clear picture for what the Titans plan to do defensively, I don't think you can be satisfied with this addition alone. And I totally understand everybody else, every Titans fan right now in the chat saying, hey, Justin Simmons, still come on down. Why not? This was a pretty inconsequential move financially. Do I think Justin Simmons would come on down to the Titans after this move? Probably not. But hey, why not? Go pursue it.
I don't know what Justin Simmons wants. You know, he was what? Was he still a second-team All-Pro a year ago?
Yeah, he still definitely is good. I mean, you've got, if you want a free safety, he's not very great in tackling, but Eddie Jackson's out there too. Like, Eddie Jackson can make plays on the football. He can't tackle anybody, but I don't know what you're looking for out of like an additional safety.
Well, you're looking for somebody who can cover.
Yeah. Eddie Jackson can't really do that either, but he can intercept the ball. He can intercept the ball.
So he's a risky player. So he's just going after
Eddie Jackson does not know how to not go for the ball 24/7. He is like, might get 8 interceptions, might have the worst season of all time. You don't know which version of him you're going to get because he's constantly hunting for the football.
Which is wild. So it's like you would want to, like, you could have Eddie Jackson if you had an eraser behind him. Is Amani Hooker an eraser? I don't think Amani Hooker's an eraser.
And so that, but just, we know that I know that team and I know Eddie Jackson's career. That was the story of Eddie Jackson with the Bears. Eddie Jackson as a rookie in 2018 had Adrian Amos as his buddy in the secondary. And with Adrian Amos back there as an eraser and as a lockdown cover guy, Eddie Jackson had like 6 interceptions and he scored like 4 touchdowns as a rookie. He almost won Defensive Player of the Year. He was electric in every way. For like 3 seasons, that became what Eddie Jackson was. And then you lost Adrian Amos and you started to give him some not great veteran help back. And the Bears paid Eddie to be the dude. And Bears fans started to look up and go, hey, he doesn't tackle anybody in the open field. And it seems very often like he's in the wrong spot. So that's what Eddie Jackson is. But if that's what you want, is like a guy who can go hunt for the football, he's out there too.
Yeah. So I guess my follow-up question to both of us saying that Jamal Adams does not complete the Titans secondary is a simple yes or no. Sam, do you think the Titans need to have a complete secondary this season?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Like, I don't think this group is done. I don't think you go into this season loving the secondary if this is what it is. I
loving the safeties. I think you can love the corners.
I love the corners. Love the
yeah.
corners. Yeah. But I also don't necessarily think that, as I mentioned, you need to have the perfect answer at safety to be a competitive defense right now. I don't think you have to have a complete secondary with, 4 different safeties now that all fill a particular role in your defense. I don't know if you need that in order to do what Denard Wilson wants to do on defense. So I don't think this is the most pressing issue. If somebody like Justin Simmons is, available, wants to take a 1-year deal, if somebody like Eddie Jackson, you feel like can help you just because he brings a skill set you don't have in the secondary and he's on a 1-year deal, sure, why not do it? But this is not something that I think would be the backbreaker of the Titans season for me if it's not addressed.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, Sam, let's get to Andre's super chat as he was kind of roasting you earlier. Sam getting jacked about an old clip, but has the audacity to say McNair didn't deserve his MVP is insanity. Everyone else lets you slide. I'm not. So we played the Jamal Adams clip, which was 3 years ago.
Sure.
And so Andre is saying that a 3-year-old clip is the same thing as talking about a season that happened 20 years ago.
Well,
I don't think it's exactly apples to apples, but Sam, I know you told me about your Steve McNair.
There's a lot of things here. Yes. Yeah, we got to talk about a lot of things. Number one, I was jacked about the clip because of the personality of Jamal Adams. That's what gets me jacked up is that personality. 3 years ago, 20 years ago, now, I don't think it matters. I think Jamal Adams is the same dude. So I'm excited to have Jamal Adams, the personality on the Titans and in the locker room and at the podium that I'm going to. I think it'll make for a lot of fun press conferences. And that is why it jacked me up. Not sure what that has to do.
Yeah, I think fans don't realize why we would get excited about something rather than the fans. We get excited about the dramatic personality who's entering the picture rather than if they signed Justin Simmons, like fans would be excited. I'd be like, yeah, all right. I don't even know if I've heard Justin
is my favorite player on the Titans. I love Arden Key because I know I can go up to Arden Key at any moment, pull out my phone and go, Arden, thoughts on the game this week? And whatever comes to his mind is coming out of his mouth, and it's going to be awesome. And it's just going to be his personality, and it's going to be him. And I like guys that are true to themselves and are not afraid to say what they think. And so Jamal Adams is that dude, and we've got another one of them now in the locker room. So 2 thumbs up from me on Jamal Adams, the character, and that's why it fires me up.
Yeah, Devin says, y'all are just looking for great footage. I get it. Yeah, this is our jobs. You guys would do the same thing. If something happened in your job,
Jamal Adams smoking a cigar at a press conference is awesome. Give me more of that. It's so much better when a guy has a personality like Jamal Adams versus somebody is very by the book, says all the right things by not saying anything at all. Maybe that's the guy that you want on your football team because, hey, let's not hurt the team with what we say. But when you work in media, you want the good quote, and you want the guy who is a good quote.
So Toff says you're missing his point. Why does Sam think McNair didn't deserve MVP? You guys did this on Wednesday?
I don't remember when I brought it. It started with this idea that, and people are in denial of, that Dak Prescott would be the best quarterback in Titans history if he had played for the Titans this entire time.
Statistically.
Yeah. I mean, statistically and in general, in general, I think
I think that's where statistically, there's no doubt by saying that because statistically, Ryan Tannehill was doing things that McNair never got.
You could argue Ryan Tannehill is the best quarterback in Titans history.
Statistically, he's the most proficient quarterback in Tennessee Titans history. But I think that's where you had to be there type thing with McNair because it was but Sam, it was a different NFL. And I think everybody has to know it. Does it sound crazy now that a quarterback who threw 24 touchdown passes won a co-MVP? Yes, it sounds insane because that would never happen. That would never happen. Will Levis might throw for 24 touchdowns this year, and that's not anywhere close to MVP race. But Tannehill threw 33 in 16 games in 2020. But with what Steve was, it's different, and it's the worst type of analysis to say you had to be there. It was different,
Exactly.
but it is the accurate analysis to say Steve McNair would be still the most legendary and overall best franchise quarterback for the Titans if Dak Prescott was a Titan for how many years he's been the Cowboys. But Dak Prescott would have every record. Like, it's
but
just different.
Dak Prescott's been consistently like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Yes, but
has
Dak Prescott made it to an NFC Championship game?
Who cares?
Who cares? Has Dak Prescott been to a Super Bowl?
Newsflash. All right. As somebody who grew up as a fan of a loser franchise that doesn't make Super Bowls, nobody cares if you make the AFC Championship.
Okay, then
nobody cares.
Dak Prescott has not even made that. My point was Dak Prescott has not gotten there. Steve McNair got there twice and got to the Super Bowl once.
I get it. Hey, I get it. Jaron says this, right? Like, you're not from Nashville. Aaron McNair was like Jordan to the Bulls. I get it. He's the dude around here. People have an emotional attachment to him. It's that exact emotional attachment that I think clouds a little bit of judgment. And the fact that we were sitting on a chat and people in the chat right now are gassing up Steve McNair and saying that, but if Will Levis is Josh Allen, that they should get rid of him because Josh Allen sucks. You're missing the point, dog. Josh Allen is double the quarterback McNair was. Facts. Sorry.
Josh Allen kind of is what Steve McNair was. Like, if you're giving a comp, like Josh Allen, Steve McNair.
No.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Dude.
Yes. The style of play.
You cannot say that. You cannot.
Yes, you can. That's actually a beautiful comp.
That
like,
is.
Hold on. Stop. Sam. I'm telling you, man. Young man.
No, I don't.
The skill sets are eerily similar. The skill sets. I'm not talking about production. I'm not talking about stats. The skill sets
that's what matters,
are the same.
Production matters.
I'm not talking about production. I'm talking about comps. Like, whenever you're doing comps in the draft, right? You're looking at skill sets and traits. If you look at Steve McNair, humongous, strong body,
Josh Allen is
arm,
a better version of that.
I didn't say that he wasn't. I'm just
That's
saying
what I
that's
said. I said he's a better quarterback. He's a much better quarterback.
Also, Steve McNair played an era where Ray Lewis could literally rip his neck off and nothing happened, and Josh Allen gets coughed on and it's 15 yards.
Sure.
So, like,
that's not Josh Allen. That's not Josh Allen's fault.
I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that's the reality. The reality is Steve McNair and Josh Allen had the same play style, the same exact traits and play style. One guy came 20 years later than the other, and it is better for Josh Allen now. And he is a more developed, I think, more because the game has changed. But if you look at that, if you look at their skill sets, go watch Steve McNair play at Alcorn State, or go watch him play. The guy was a Heisman Trophy finalist at Alcorn State. If you go watch him play from 2000 to 2003 or 99 to 03, some of those 4 or 5 year stretch, McNair is doing all the things that Josh Allen's doing, carrying the team, doing ridiculous things, cannon arm, running.
They're not, but it's just like you're comparing, like there's levels to it. Josh Allen already has. Josh Allen is already. People are saying, "Oh, you realize McNair had legs." Yeah, but Josh Allen has better legs. He already.
Here's my comp, Sam. Here's my comp, Sam.
Output of McNair's
Here's my comp.
career.
The Bulls won 6 titles with Michael Jordan when NBA scores were going like 82 to 78, right?
Sure.
Right now, what's happening? NBA scores are like 112 to 108. So the point is, things have changed. So it has grown from that perspective. It's the same. McNair was playing in the 90s NBA. Josh Allen is playing in today's NBA.
I get it. It's a different era, and outputs are not the same. Really, my funny thing here, my argument against Steve McNair and his 03 MVP is mainly for Priest Holmes more than anybody, because I believe the league's tendency to just give it. I don't think any quarterbacks deserved it that year. I think Priest Holmes was by far the NFL's best player. I think
that's a fair argument.
Reflected in the fact that he won Offensive Player of the Year almost unanimously. And yet the guy who wins Offensive Player of the Year doesn't win the MVP because we just have to give it to a quarterback, I think that's a bit ridiculous. But
that's a fair argument. But like, I also think
2,200 all-purpose yards and 27 rushing touchdowns is insane season from Priest
which
Holmes.
is why I thought Derrick Henry should have also won the MVP in 2020 and not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers also went crazy that season though. Like that.
Yeah, but it wasn't even his best year.
Sure. To me, it's just like if no quarterback is far and Peyton Manning, I would say, didn't deserve that MVP either. Peyton Manning turned the ball over too much to get an MVP that year, and he led the league in passing yards because of volume alone. So this is not like a specific anti-McNair thing. This is a pro Priest Holmes in 03. This is the fact that I do believe the emotional attachment to Steve McNair. I get it. Every fan base has it. Every city has it. They've got their people that they ride for. But I do think it clouds our judgment where we cannot say like that he's in the same level as some of these other dudes. We just can't. He was not at that. Was Steve McNair ever outside of 03 a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? I don't think he was.
I would say from the stretch of 99 through 03, those 5 consecutive seasons, maybe not 99 because of his injuries, derailed some seasons, but that's when he won those games in the playoffs. I would say he was cumulatively over those 5 years among the top 5.
99 to 03, you think he was top 5 in the NFL?
I think if you take all that was pre-Peyton really breaking out. Tom Brady was starting.
It is Peyton breaking out. It is Tom Brady winning Super Bowls. It's Brett Favre in his prime.
Tom Brady won 1 Super Bowl. That was the very end, so he doesn't count. And that was a Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel defense Super Bowl. So if that wasn't Tom Brady, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Who else won a Super Bowl during that stretch?
Man,
who was the Brad Johnson with the Bucks?
Yeah, Brad Johnson won for the Bucks that year.
And Kurt Warner, right? So Kurt Warner might have been in that spot, but there really weren't. It was a different era. It was just, if you look at literally 99 through 03, those 5 years, the Tennessee Titans had one of the best win percentages in the entire NFL, and a lot of it because of what Steve McNair was able to do.
All right.
Look, I don't know.
I don't have to comment on it anymore. I just think, your biases is showing.
No, I'm just saying it's not the same. It is a completely different league because we're talking 20 years ago.
I would say this too, just in general. You didn't see him play, or you just don't get it. You had to be there. Is the worst, I don't know what I'm talking about, argument in the history of anything.
No, but it's not. You can say that and then follow it up. I agree. I hate you had to be there.
Would you not also agree? And I would say this too. This is the other thing about eras. And as we talk about eras, comparing era to era, the league was different back then. The same way, like you said, the NBA was different back when Michael played versus now when somebody like LeBron is playing, or even the guys that are coming up today. But I don't think it's arguable as a Bulls fan, as somebody who loves Michael Jordan, who says he's the greatest player of all time, the talent is 10 times better now than when Michael played. The guys are more athletic. They shoot better than they ever have. They everything, the skills, the talents are all better. And if you took a guy with the skill set of Anthony Edwards even and dropped him back in the 90s, I think he goes crazy the same way Michael did. And he might even be a better player by skill set than Michael Jordan. The same way that if you took Aaron Judge and put him against 1950s pitching, he probably hits 100 home runs in the season. Or
I think here's
improved.
Okay, so let's look at 2003. Let's look at 2003, and I have stuff to do, so we gotta wrap up the show at some point. But the top passers in 2003: Peyton Manning, okay, right? Trent Green, Mark Bulger, Matt Hasselbeck, Brad Johnson. I'm taking Steve McNair over the 5-year period I'm talking about over Trent Green, Mark Bulger, Matt Hasselbeck, Brad Johnson. Then there's Tom Brady. This was his first full year as a starter. So still, Tom Brady was not the Tom Brady we know now. He was still maturing into that. Then you have John Kitna, Aaron Brooks, Dante Culpepper, Tommy Maddox. Like McNair over the 5 years, maybe Dante Culpepper is close to that conversation. Then you've got Brett Favre, okay. Then you got Quincy Carter,
What list
Jake
are you going off
Delhomme.
of? What list are you going off? Sorry.
2003 passing yards.
What about Rich Gannon? What about
Rich Gannon? I'm
Drew
going in
Bledsoe?
order. I'm going in order.
Well, I'm like, if you're looking at the 99 to 2003 chunk, I think you have to bring up Rich Gannon. I think you have to bring up Drew Bledsoe. I think you have to bring up, a lot of those people.
Rich Gannon was done in 2003. So then you've
But
got
years before that,
Drew Bledsoe was replaced and moved on from, and was not as good as McNair in the 03 season. Again, like I'm just going off 2003 just because I was able to pull that up real quick. I can go to 2002. But again, like it was very different. Like it was just a very different league. In 2002, the top 3 passers were Rich Gannon, Drew Bledsoe, Peyton Manning. So yes, Rich Gannon, the Raiders had some good years. Drew Bledsoe was good until it wasn't. But what McNair did for those 5 years was a high-level quarterback for the Tennessee Titans that had the Titans winning more games than the majority of the NFL. And Jason says, I'd take McNair today over Allen. I think Allen's more refined. But again, their skill sets.
This is the stuff that just is like not worth arguing with.
The skill sets
Anybody
are
outside of Nashville, Tennessee knows that that's not true.
The skill sets and the traits are very comparable between Steve McNair and Josh Allen. It doesn't mean they're the same. It doesn't mean their stats are the same.
Oh my God. I'm getting so triggered. Jason, when did you ever watch Michael Jordan play live? I don't have to. Giannis Antetokounmpo dominates anybody that played basketball in the 80s if he's there today. He's bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic with skills that just didn't exist back then. It didn't exist. I can watch the tape. And know. I don't have to have watched Michael Jordan play live. And I'm a Michael Jordan as the GOAT guy because I think GOAT status is about championships and legacy and just like you
had to be there stuff, right? Which I think where
I think Michael Jordan's lasting legacy is Michael Jordan and the brand that he built as Michael Jordan. That's what makes him the GOAT, not the fact that I think he's the most skilled basketball player of all time.
Yeah, but I think Steve McNair was not the most skilled football player or quarterback of all time, but there's a lot of, not to the level of Michael Jordan because that's asinine, but Steve McNair has legacy, he has impact, he has what he's done
here.
No, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah,
okay,
that's what we're talking about.
But that's what I'm saying is in Nashville, he's got
that's the conversation.
People love him in Nashville, but people don't know Steve McNair or remember Steve McNair much nationally.
Yes, I'm not arguing that, but the whole conversation was if Dak Prescott was a Titan for 8 years, he'd be better than Steve McNair.
Well, because
statistically, yes.
Dak Prescott is nationally recognized as consistently in the top 10
of
NFL quarterbacks.
He's also got the Cowboys propping him
and
up.
We're also talking over Josh Allen right now, who's like has been a national superstar for 5 years now and is one of the best quarterbacks in the game.
All I said is that Josh Allen and Steve McNair played the game the same way.
Well, I'm not saying what you said. I'm saying what the chat says, which is I would take Steve McNair over Josh Allen today, which is crazy.
I think, who is the great? The Bulls have had Derrick Rose, right? Who is a flash in the pan, but really damn good. But he didn't have, or DeMar DeRozan. Like the Bulls have had guys that have been really freaking good in the NBA in today's world that do not and nowhere near the legacy of even Scottie Pippen or Dennis Rodman, right? So it's like,
sure.
So I'm just saying, like, it's the game changes.
That's also nostalgia, right? I think, and I also think that nostalgia is horrible because it makes you remember people as better than they were.
Okay, I have stuff to do. So
we've got I'll talk about this all day.
It is a good conversation. It's July 12th. If I didn't have meetings coming up, then we continue maybe, but I do have meetings coming up. So we got to go ahead and shift gears and wrap up this week and get to Ain't That Good News. So let's hit it. If you have good news in the chat, maybe the good news is that conversation is over. But whatever your good news is, share it with us here in the chat. We'll get to your good news to wrap up Friday. Good news, good gravy. Good gravy is a brand new roller coaster that opened this summer at Holiday World and Splash and Safari for the entire family in the Thanksgiving side of the theme park, Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. If you want tickets, last chance, right? School starts in about a month. Go ahead and get your last weekend getaway with the whole family, Holiday World and Splash and Safari, a couple hours north of Nashville. Free sunscreen, free soft drinks, and free parking, holidayworld.com. So, Sam, good news in the chat. If you want to head to the chat for some good news, or if you have some good news yourself, love to hear it.
Eric says, good news, Eminem released a new album. I thought that happened like a couple weeks ago. Is that fresh this week? I didn't know that.
I'm so
maybe he released another one. Who knows? Demetrius says, good news, prayers for him and his family heading to New Orleans and Destin this weekend to celebrate his sister's birthday. Hell yeah. Good time there.
Stay out of the water.
Yeah.
Dude, shark attacks in that area of Destin and Florida and the Panhandle.
That's popping right now.
Be careful. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Destin is fun though. Destin is a good time.
Yes.
Let's see. Jeff says, great news. Pre-installed NCAA Fit 25 this morning. Heck yeah. I mean, everybody has to be. Although shade, time, impromptu shade. Why is it only the next gen Xbox that can get NCAA 25?
I don't know. You're asking.
That's just, it's a money grab. I see right through it. I'm not happy about it. Shade on EA or whoever made that decision. But I'm pumped for the game, but I'm also not going to be able to play it because I don't have a next-gen Xbox. And I don't play Xbox enough to warrant buying a next-gen Xbox just to play one game.
That's my thing is like, as much as I love that game's coming back, and I've said that that's the only thing that will get me back to play video games, I don't have a lifestyle where I can afford any time to play video games.
Yeah, it's like if I bought the next-gen Xbox, I would start playing NCAA 25. And I want to play it, but I don't want to play it because I know the amount of time that it would consume. And I don't play games right now. And I'm cool with that. I'm happy with that. But objectively, it looks awesome.
I'm going to have the most FOMO that I've ever had in my entire life is going to be.
I cannot wait to go to my friend's house to play the game and then be able to come home. It's like when you got kids, but they're like, you're the grandparent and it's like, I can go play with the kids and then I don't have to go home with them. That's me with NCAA.
Yeah, it was such a big part of my, I remember NCAA, college football 2003 with Joey Harrington, Oregon on the cover was the first one I remember, and playing, and then all the way through. So over a decade of my life was playing that game, but it's not going to happen.
Joey Harrington made a video game cover. Good for him.
Oh, dude, Joey Harrington. That was the very beginning of Nike Oregon, of just all the coolest uniforms. Joey Harrington was on that cover. Yeah.
There's a lot of fun. Do you remember this guy was on the cover of a video game? Those are my favorites because it's like Peyton Hillis was on the cover of a video game. People forget.
Brian, real quick. Brian says, right, you never have a half hour, Austin. You're a grinder. To be honest, half hours are not.
That's the problem, is that it's not a half hour. That if I log on to the game, it's 3 hours. And sometimes you don't want to give up 3 hours. I know myself. I can't get off in half an hour. I got to do one more. Let's see.
To be honest, I don't have a consecutive half hour of downtime like that.
Yeah.
I might have 15 minutes, but not a half hour.
Look at you. Humble brag. King VZ. Good news, he's moving back to Tennessee next week. Let's go. Right. Get to some Titans games this fall. Christopher says it's Friday, which in itself is good news. Denise says, good news, planning to go to Colts Titans in Indy on December 22nd. Let's go tighten up. That'll be good. That's a fun little indoor in December. Good choice there by Denise. You get to go to Lucas Oil, avoid the 10-degree weather, whatever it is, by going to a different game. Let's see what else we got here. Trying to scroll. Good news, Sam showing the most noob of 2024. I don't know why that's good news.
Ryan's hating because he's also calling cap on my saying I don't have a half hour. Yeah, I can read you my calendar today if you want me to. This show has already gone 18 minutes over my allotted time.
My bad. Jonathan says, happened today, Sam. He released a single, so that's talking about Eminem. Trying to scroll, see if we got any other good news. Don't see it necessarily. My good news, I'm going on a trip, going to the East Coast, meeting up with some friends. So, yeah, I got a flight out later tonight. I'm pumped for it. Got to get my little fun before training camp, and that's when we lock in, baby. That's when that grind starts. So got a nice little weekend getaway to the East Coast this weekend that I'm very much looking forward to.
Yep. That sounds fun. Last chance, because we are closing in. Just 2 more weekends left for us to have freedom before training camp gets going, and so that's my plans. Do have brunch with my grandmother tomorrow, which I'm excited about, and then setting up some plans with some friends the following weekend. So that was my good news. Is the good news? I mean, there's also like Brian's giving me hate for not having time, but like there is a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes with A to Z right now that I'm pumped about. A lot of it nationally, but you guys, that have been watching us for a while care enough because you've been a part of the ride. But there are some fun things that we have in store for this football season and how we've been growing, which is why I have FOMO for not being able to play that college game coming out. But yeah, a lot of good news to come over the next several weeks and month or so. And Andre, Dak.
He just had no super chat. It's the rule.
Yeah, we have to play it. We have to read it. Dak caves in the playoffs. Allen cost his teams games. McNair put the team on his back and willed them to victory. Steve was the embodiment of MVP award. I think because it's super chat, we had to read it, but I don't want to give any more time to that conversation today. We can revisit that at a later date.
Steve McNair had 6 passing touchdowns and 11 interceptions in the playoffs in his career.
Okay. All right.
Playoff record 5-5, Steve McNair. Just saying. Dak Prescott playoff record. Like, hey.
What's Dak's playoff record?
It's 2-5. Look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers. Look at the numbers.
I
he doesn't choke.
Sam,
he doesn't choke.
It's 932
302-3, 266-1, 305-4, 403 touchdowns, 2,000 yards, 14-7. Josh Allen. Okay, Josh Allen. Let's go back. Josh Allen has the greatest quarterback rating in playoff history in the history of the sport.
Sam, we gotta go.
Greatest quarterback rating.
Gotta go
Ever.
We gotta go
in the playoffs. Josh Allen.
Make sure nobody's arguing that. Who's arguing that McNair was better than Josh Allen? Nobody is.
Austin.
No. One guy is Andre. One guy is. All right. Like the show. Please like the show to help us out here on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll see you guys on a Monday. Have a great, safe weekend. Appreciate it as always.